Right.
Hello, everyone. This is Naishad Gadani, and it's unusual for me to drop into your LinkedIn screen at 10 p.m. But I promised you that I will. And me and Caroline have brought a guest with us from Cincinnati, Ohio. I don't even know where that is in the United States map, but I know it's probably 1,000 miles away. It's around 14 hours behind Australia also. So it's going to be fascinating to chat with Sunitha Narayanan. And to give you a background, me and Sunitha first time spoke and became LinkedIn friends, around 2012-13. And I was delivering a presentation at a conference in India, and we got onto the phone call. First time it was Skype. We didn't have Zoom at that time. Imagine. And we got onto Skype. We chatted for a long time, and then we continued to be LinkedIn friends. We on and often just send messages to each other, but we have always, since the time that career care package really started, Sunita has been a constant support to us by putting thoughtful comments and also encouraging both of us to continue this journey that we are on. So to for those who are nocturnal and listening to this for the first time, so me and Caroline don't appear on your LinkedIn screen at 10 p.m. usually. 3 p.m. is our time slot. Nobody in Australia does it at 3 p.m. except us. And we come to you to fire up your career, to deliver a message of hope and optimism in these unprecedented times that we find ourselves in. But today we are going to discuss a very interesting topic of finding your true north. Don't worry, we are not asking you to go to Keynes today. We are just asking you to look at what is your true north, what is your true purpose, and we'll be doing it differently. So we will leave it to Sunita to really unpack that concept for us. But before we bring Sunita, Caroline Brown.
Sorry, I might just look a little bit distracted because I've just got a message saying we're having trouble streaming on LinkedIn. So this may be an issue LinkedIn's end. We'll keep trying. So I'm just having a quick look at your stream, Nish, or if you can have a quick look at your stream to see if it's coming up. We're definitely streaming
No,
on
it hasn't.
Facebook. We've never had this glitch before, Sunitha, so I'm sorry about that.
All good, all good.
But
Take your time.
It might take a while. So let's continue. I'm also not sure why this has happened. Probably StreamYard would think these guys don't turn up at 10 o'clock. They usually do it
That's
at
right.
3 p.m. So that's their time slot. I don't know why.
We will record it. We're streaming on Facebook. Hopefully it'll be resolved. If you are on LinkedIn and you can see this, give us the thumbs up. That would be great. But anyway, we'll continue. So because we know people will be watching it on Facebook as well. So Sunitha, sorry about that glitch, but lovely to have you here all the way from. And
Thank you.
it's a funny thing, isn't it? I really feel like the pandemic in a way has connected a lot of people because we're all kind of in this globally together, and it's really wonderful that you could join us and share some insights about the work that you do. So I guess a really good place to start would be maybe tell people about, I've described you as a career and leadership coach, and I know there's a lot more to what you do, but maybe tell people about how you actually came to be doing what you do and how you work with your clients.
Sure. So before I start, one, I truly appreciate you made it easy for me to get up in the morning, and so I appreciate that. I have to say, when Naishad called me, I hung up the phone and I turned to my husband and said, I feel as if I got invited to the Oprah show. So I honestly, this is a huge privilege and honor. And then this morning I got up and, I was getting a little nervous and I got ready and I thought, okay, let me check my phone. And there is Carolyn's message promoting today's conversation, and she talks about the elephant, and I thought, what better sign do I need? I start my day with a prayer to Lord Ganesh, and she's talking about an elephant. So to honor the work that the two of you do to bring hope and joy and impact really into what seems relentless and unending, I did do something for the two of you this morning. So this is my doodle of appreciation, if you can see it.
Oh,
Can you see that?
I can see.
Okay. Okay. So that's the and the trumpet is saying a huge thank you to both of you. And it does have your poof, whatever that sound is. And you spread light and joy to a lot. You're connecting a lot of people, and you give us ideas. The light bulbs are the ideas. So you're giving us a lot of ideas. So I really want to thank you as a community for doing that. And this is one example of what I do in my coaching a whole lot. It just engages our brain differently. In terms of how you introduced me, the only thing that I might argue a little bit is that I do not do pure transition work anymore. So I don't help people with their job search as such. However, I do a lot of work around leadership, impact, and legacy. And if I think about this, I listen to stories each day. That is really what I do. I listen to stories each day, and as you know, you are in the business of telling stories every week with your career care package, and stories are very powerful, right? When we listen to stories, we allow people to get a glimpse of the purpose behind our work. That's why storytelling is so powerful. I suspect you heard that purpose in each of your speakers. You know, Lira spoke about the diverse interests. That's the creative problem solving was such a huge purpose in her life. You heard Anand talk about looking inward. You're selling yourself, so you have to figure out who you're selling. He spoke to that purpose. Michelle talked about that adaptiveness in that startup environment. And then you got a real great glimpse of David's purpose when he said, you know, I like to make complicated things simple. As simple. So when you dig underneath your storytelling, that's when you find purpose. And what I have found, whether in India, I was a licensed social worker. And then as I transitioned through different roles, what I found that my purpose has not strayed very far. So my purpose is I help people create results from abundance, not scarcity. That's really what I liked to do. That is my purpose. So my first challenge for you both and for your listeners is you can take a flip chart, put it somewhere boldly on a wall. You can, if you're a person who journals, use a journal and write down your purpose. Sit down, think about your story, and write down your purpose in 10 or less words.
Wow, okay.
10 or less words.
Yeah.
Because when you connect to your purpose, whatever you do, your 90-second pitch, your marketing materials, the way you network, the way you interview, everything becomes bolder, becomes confident, becomes sharper. So you actually are able to tell people what you truly want to offer them as a gift versus, do I fit these check boxes? Do I fit the ATS? So really, when you think underneath your story, you touch the pain and you touch the joy, you're going to find that each of us engages with that. It's sometimes a restless process. It's sometimes a complicated process. It's always a joyful process. And to introduce that joy, what I would suggest is when you put that flip chart out, you use colored pencils, and you sit quietly, invite that pause that Daisha talks about. Invite quiet into your heart. You feel the spaciousness, and then do this. Play with the slinky. See the bounce.
Mm.
See the bounce and the slinky. Just play with the slinky.
Mm.
Let it go. I carry this everywhere. I give one to each of my clients. So play with it and really touch the core of your story. Underneath the core of your story lies your purpose. So once you have that purpose in 10 words or less, then you know how you're going to support it. So the way I support my purpose, I help people build 3 practices. So I help people build a practice in how to get out of their own way.
Yeah.
We create our own misery.
Yeah.
Through all our storytelling, we create our own misery. So I help people figure out how to get out of their own way so that they don't jeopardize the success they wish to create. If I ask someone, do you want to build a life of significance and success and make a living? Most people say yes, right? So for that, you have to get out of your own way.
Yeah.
Then the second practice I help people with is to help them figure out how to get out of other people's way, so that they can harness the talent wholeheartedly. Amazing work only happens with and through people. Look at the impact you're making. You certainly could not do it just with each other.
Mm.
So we harness the talent of the community around us to help us create that life of significance. And the third practice is a little, I believe it is my distinctive feature, is I help people practice Maitri, which is a word from Sanskrit that means unconditional friendship. And I'm not talking about the kindness that we offer to others. I'm really not interested in that coaching conversation, because unless we figure out how to be gentle, kind, and compassionate within ourselves, our practice to be kind to other people will always be fractured.
Mm-hmm.
It is a single truth in our lives. So that's the third practice that I help people with, to figure out how do you gentle a story? How do you ask for help? How do you invite compassion? How do you look at something a little differently so that it is proactive versus, oh my God, oh my God. So you move from being a victim to owning it, because sitting in misery is not rent free, is it? So that in really a nutshell is what I do every day, and it truly is my honor and privilege to sit and be part of people's stories, and it gives me great joy.
Fantastic. Is there a part of one of those elements that people struggle with the most? Because I know people, like, my gut feeling is getting to the point where people, honor themselves or are kind to themselves. It's really difficult for a lot of people. And you don't even know that you're being unkind to yourself.
Right. And that's the reason I use play a lot. I'll give you 2 reasons why I use play. I'll give you a personal reason, and then I'll give you the business reason. The personal reason is, I grew up during times in India of a lot of social and political turmoil. Some people from India might remember the years of emergency, which was a lot like a dictatorship in India. I've lived through the assassination of a prime minister and horrific rioting. And as a social worker, I was in the middle of working in those riots. As a very young child, I have been in the middle of a war. My father commanded a hospital during the 71 aggression, and our house was bombed. For the amount of time that the war existed in our lives, there was a lot of unsettling thing. And what I didn't understand then, and I understand today, is I automatically went to play and imagination to make sense of what was not making sense to me at all. So from a neuroscience perspective, play is one way that our brain makes sense of things intuitively. So if we can harness that, We allow ourselves to stay without judgment. We allow ourselves to increase the endorphins in our body versus the cortisol. So that's really my personal reason. As I transitioned and I migrated to the United States and different things happened, all the plots that happen with any migration story, I started to really study play and creativity very specifically in my work. And then I started to observe three things in very success or high performers. I really started to pay attention with leadership assessments. So what I found is that high performers do three things really, really well, and they harness play to do it. So high performers have a practice of resiliency, the bounce back factor, which this signifies. The bounce. They are in the most difficult of their times. They are able to touch that part of the resiliency to make sense of what is happening around them. The second practice that high performers use through play is curiosity. And curiosity just allows them to stay in the moment and observe what is happening without attachment. So this is like leaning into a question versus rushing into a solution. So curiosity is that pause. Curiosity allows you to consider, to step back, to just be in the moment without, I have to find a solution. So that's one practice. And play allows you to enter curiosity very easily. The third piece I find is resolve. And David talked about this. When he said that knowing something, recognizing something is not enough. How are you going to stay committed? What are you going to do? If you remember that part in his conversation where he spoke to that, that is the resolve. And play allows us to figure out, to do that mind shift. So from a business perspective, if you think about it, there is research that shows us when we connect to resiliency, when we connect to creativity, when we connect to resolve, we are 3 times more successful in whatever we embrace. Because play and imagination breaks a pattern. It completely breaks a pattern. It allows us to add the word and in our vocabulary a little more often. So you move from yes, but I'm too old for the job market, to yes, and I bring experience that somebody right out of college does not have. So it allows us to look at the paradox really well. So play allows us to go from yes and yes but to a yes and very easily. The other thing it does is it allows us to do what leadership research calls connective awareness. So this is like, imagine holding sand in your hand. Say you're at the beach and you hold sand and you hold it really tightly. What do you think happens? The sand just trickles down, right? And suddenly when you open your hand, there is no sand. But say you open your palm and you just let the sand sit gently. So connective awareness is holding different thoughts and patterns and solutions lightly without attachment, to consider it, to give it some thought, to reflect on it. And connective awareness apparently really uses both sides of our brain, the logical, the left side, and the creative, the right side. And it allows us to encourage possibility. So again, I keep a lot of like index cards with me all the time. So I might just write something like, if someone is telling me a lot of if onlys, then I would just put a lot of if onlys on a flip chart and then ask them to convert one if only to a what if. That's a creative process. That's playful. I'm not asking for solutions. All I'm saying is, hey, let's play. So suppose I don't know. So let's take this. Suppose someone said to me, if only I had a job, right? So then So what might be and what if? I don't know. But we brainstorm. And then someone might, then I might say, well, what if you volunteered in your expertise? That
Mhm.
might open up an opportunity, perhaps.
Mhm.
Then they say, well, if only I could actually go and volunteer somewhere. Where can I go? There is shelter in place. So then I might say, what if you explored, or what if we explored online opportunities? So it widens your perspective, and I'm not asking anybody to make a decision that they're not ready yet.
Mm.
The other way the play works is paradoxical words. You know, energy is very important. Shifting energy is very important. So I might hold this up to somebody and say, um, what do you think this brings up for you? Just shout out what when you think urgency. What about your life is urgent? What about something is going on? And most people will play with this. And then if I turn this around and say, what does this look like? Then you add the and. Then I might say, what does urgency and calmness look like in the moment? So do you see how that shifts the perception gradually?
Yeah.
Yet I'm not putting any pressure in making a decision on anybody. We're playing. We're
Mm.
still really, really playing.
Mm.
And it really does. So there's a concept of requisite variety from neuro-linguistic programming, and what it says is that the person who's able to stay the most flexible is able to influence the system the most.
Mhm.
So, what we have to be careful about is that we are all hardwired to do certain things. So that's our style. Well, when we start recognizing that behavior is a choice, we expand our toolkit. So then it allows us to flex our style. And so then I might say to someone, hey, try out this style. Think of it as a scene in a play. Think about it as moving the scene forward into a movie. How does that look to you?
Mm.
So people will go there versus if I say to them, you know, you really have to network. There is no choice. You really
Mm.
have to network. Network is how you get jobs. If I say that to them, mostly I'll get things like, I'm an introvert. I don't like to network. It
Mm.
feels like asking for a favor.
Mm.
What will I say? So play allows us to reduce anxiety.
Mm.
Play allows us to reduce the fear. Play
Mm.
allows us to feel bolder. So as much as we talk so much about emotions, pay attention to where you're feeling your emotions. Are you feeling tension here? Are you feeling a pit in your stomach? There is also bidirectionality. So with play, what you can do is you can ask someone, what do you want to cultivate? So
Mm.
suppose you say to me, I want to cultivate confidence. So then I might say to you, okay, let's play with that. Where do you feel confidence in your body? When you say the word confidence, so people will sit up. They'll say, I feel it in my spine. So then it's a matter of saying, okay, play with this. Connect confidence with your spine. Think about your spine going outside your body along with you. Imagine that going along with you, walking with you, and see what it does to your behavior. So when you start thinking about play in a lot of different ways, then suddenly people start um, feeling capable.
Mm.
They have a little more lift to their voices. They have a lift to their body. And I think all of us will agree that we show up wholeheartedly with everything that we. I mean, we don't even have to say anything. We show up and people make a judgment
Mm.
about what we have to offer. So why not offer people your true purpose by going behind your story and playing around a little and asking yourself, how does resiliency show up? How does resolve show up? How does playfulness and curiosity show up?
Mm.
And see how that shifts perspective.
Mm. Wow, it's such an amazing way that you, like, it's such a holistic way that you work with people compared to somebody that, I guess, other traditional forms of coaching or counselling are quite, I guess, mind based, as in, you do this assessment or you do the Myers Briggs or you do whatever.
Yeah.
Just that I love that concept of just, having some fun with perhaps whatever you think is holding you back, and
Right.
at it from
Right.
a different angle. So is your office brightly coloured and you've got a couch and balls there, or is it,
So
what does it look like?
I do carry a bag. I carry a bag with a lot of things. There's always color. Color. So you can see I always have something like this.
Yep.
I have crayons always. I have a bunch of index cards. And one of the things that I carry are these little dolls if somebody wants to play with it. So this is something. So when I ask people to complete I am, how might you complete I am? What's the first word that comes to your head when I ask you to complete the prompt I am?
You're asking me that now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah.
My first thing is I am creative. That's
Okay. And Naisha?
I'm funny.
I'm funny. And I would say I'm adventurous.
yes.
So when then people start thinking about what that word means in their day-to-day life, how does that show up? How does that connect to their behavior? Then your 90-second pitch really does get distinctive.
Yeah.
So when if I were working with Naisha, then he said to me, I'm funny, then I would ask him, how does your sense of humor diffuse a conflict situation? How does your sense of humor help you connect with people? So I would take it to the business value, but it starts in play. But someone might say to me, "Well, I can't go tell an employer I'm funny." Well, you can because you can link it to your purpose. My purpose is to spread joy, joyful results, make a joyful impact, and I do that by using respectful humor. I'm able to connect to people differently. Same thing with the creativity. So here, what I ask people to do is to write. You may not be able to see it clearly. To write the different roles that they play. So over here is vice president, mom, wife, sister. So something like that. And this could be done on a piece of paper too. Then I turn it around and I ask them to think about attributes that go across all these roles.
Yeah.
Because when you think about attributes that are seamless and go around all those roles, you're going to link it to purpose. So this is a great thing. The other thing that I actually gave my kids when they went to college, I gave them a small little suitcase and I put 3 things in it. I put the slinky because I wanted them to remember play. And I give this to people too. It's a floss. It's just floss. Do you know why I give how does floss connect to career purpose and career goals? What do you think? Take a guess. There are no right or wrong answers.
I guess.
What does flossing help you do?
Oh, keep your teeth clean. Keep speak your truth. Maybe is.
Okay, so it actually helps you be mindful of the different ways that you can get stuck in things.
Yeah. Okay.
Or things can get stuck in you.
Yep.
So what do you want to release?
Yeah.
What do you want to give up? Because again, it's about energy. And the third thing that I don't have currently with me is a little compass. I usually give a compass and say, think about what's the direction you want your life to go, because there is a way to live a life of significance, abundance, and make a living. Yeah. It's all on how you want to define that for yourself, really. For the more practical people who push against this a little sometimes, using a quadrant, anything visual is good. And a simple thing to do is this thing
Yeah.
to really have them think about the values, the interests, the skills, and the styles. And this is a tool that they can actually create distinctive documents around and get beyond their resume.
Yeah.
People see resumes all the time, but if I take this in, I can tell you why you should hire me. I can tell you what matters to me. I can tell you why I would fit into your company.
Yeah.
And all I need is this one document, really, because
Yeah.
values tell people why you're productive, interests sustain your engagement, skills define your productivity, and your style is your approach to life.
Yeah.
All things being equal, you're being hired for your approach to life.
Yeah.
And that's what we don't tend to understand. And the other correlation that gets missed in purpose is the correlation between skills and interests. If my
Yeah.
interest is high, I will do anything to learn,
Mm.
right? If my interest is not high, I will avoid it. So I think job seekers sometimes forget that it is their ownership to figure out which skills they want to inform and expand on.
Mm.
So sometimes they go with the mindset that I have to fit the job so clearly and let
Mhm.
me talk to those skills. They forget that they may not be as interested in using those anymore.
Mm.
So you can position for growth, you can position for untapped talent. You can say, when I looked at your job description, where my attention went was
Mm.
here. I'm so ready to grow into this learning versus saying, I have all what you're asking for, but I have
Mm.
never done XYZ.
Mm.
It shifts the conversation when you play with that a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, so those are, a few ways. And I might say one more thing that I think is a little unusual with play. It's how you put emphasis on things. So you can work with a statement. So suppose someone says to me, I'd like to find a job in, I don't know, in therapy. Let's just go with that. So suppose they say to me, I'd like to find a job in therapy. So I might really have them write it down in bold and then place emphasis differently. So one day I might say, put the emphasis on the I. I would like to find a job in therapy. See
Mhm.
how that feels.
Mhm.
See the shift in ownership. Then I might say, I would like to find a job in therapy. So then you take it to what's behind the like?
Mhm.
What's the purpose there? Then I might say, well, put the emphasis on therapy. I might like to find a job in therapy.
Mhm.
So what is it about therapy? There are categories of therapy. What kind of therapy? What kind of people? So when you play, you get clarity and you get focus.
Mhm.
It's like what Maya Angelou said long ago that when people tell you who they are, believe them. So we have to be careful about what we want people to know about us.
Mm.
So it is our ownership to craft our stories in a way that we want to be known, because in the end, the only thing that we are actually selling, and Anand referred to this thing about selling. My belief is the only thing we are selling is our reputation.
Mm.
Skills are a bonus.
Mm.
What we are selling is our approach to life. It is how we are in the moment,
Mm.
how we navigate the uncertainty. I think that's what we're selling. And the more we engage with play, uh, the it just makes it gentler. Life is hard
Mm.
and it seems relentless right now.
Mm.
It seems unending right now. So if we have the opportunity to add color, to add a little joy, add a little playfulness, why not?
Mm.
I think that makes a good point around. I think we have seen Caroline and Sunita. You might agree that since last 4 to 5 months, especially, we have seen a constant, positive and sometimes on the extreme side around finding your why. And if you don't find your why, you are worthless, or you can't function without finding your why. And there is this extra pressure to find a why that is, as I think Michelle said, is a socially acceptable why. Not necessarily a why that matters to you, but you have to come across that my why is to save the world, is to eliminate the poverty, is to make a planet a better place. Why your why cannot be that I want to make some money, I want to grow my business, right? And it is fine too, but I think the way you're approaching this is very, as you rightly pointed, the gentler way. And I think one of the things, Caroline, we talked about that we would like to probably further investigate is the nudges, is the small nudges that
Yes.
you are asking people to do, because
Yeah.
I think nudges are extremely powerful. I saw one picture, and they demonstrated the nudge theory. Is that
Yeah.
as somebody enters into a train station, there's an escalator and there are
Yeah.
steps. But when you are at the bottom of the steps, you can actually see what they wrote down there is
Yeah.
150 calorie. That's what they
Yeah.
wrote down there. They didn't say anything else. So
Yeah.
what that nudge was to that, this is simple nudge, and I found it so profound. And I think that is what you're talking about. And I think we need to recognize those nudges also, that we don't
Right.
need to
Right.
rely just on Sunita or Caroline or John or
Yeah.
somebody else to tell them the nudge. I think there are nudges also available, within our environment. They will have to
Yeah.
examine and say maybe there is a nudge here. And I think those
Yeah.
nudges, I feel, are extremely powerful. And if I can end my comment with this, is that you said something about being kind. Can you elaborate on that? Because I
Yeah.
think there is
Yeah.
there are some there are s- so what are how do you take that positively more,
Yeah.
rather than if I don't wake up at 6 o'clock, which I was supposed to,
Yeah.
and wake up at 8 o'clock, they say be kind to yourself, Nisha. That is fine. Is that what we are talking about, or
No.
what do you mean by that? Can you, if you can
Yeah.
elaborate on that?
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because I did want to make sure that listeners were not thinking that if I never got a why in my life, I'm useless and worthless. That's not what this is about. Everybody is at a different continuum. Everybody is here to learn the lessons that they're to learn in their own pace. So that's where the my three piece comes in, which is loving kindness and friendship, unconditional friendship to yourself. So, one way to look at this is we all engage and we love to tell stories about ourselves and other people. We embellish our stories. So, one thing that all of us do on a routine basis is we judge ourselves, right? So we might say, I should have known this. I could have done this. What an idiot I am. How did I not see this? Why does this always happen to me? Things like that. We judge other people. I cannot believe Naishuli said that. I would never do that. So whatever is not our preference, we demonize right away, right? And the third way we judge is our circumstances. If only COVID had not happened, if only my employer had kept my job. If only I had not married this person. It could be anything. So we are judging ourselves, we are judging other people, we are judging circumstances. What the friendship piece does is it helps us recognize the gremlin. It helps us recognize how we are sabotaging our own success. So the friendship part becomes then, let's invite the gremlin in because the gremlin is not going to go away. So let's invite the gremlin in and play with the gremlin. So remember when we were children, even if we generally didn't like the person, we would play with the person, right? Because our focus was on play. So if there was nobody to play with me, then I am going to play with you. So if you can keep that greatest good in mind, then you invite the gremlin in and you start changing your conversation. You then say to the gremlin, the way I work with this is I ask people to give the gremlin a name. I ask people to really visualize the gremlin. And then I would just say, invite the gremlin in. So I might say, oh, there you're again. Come in, have a seat. But here is the thing, I have a ground rule for you. You have no voice on this table. So long you keep that in mind, we're going to be friends. The moment you speak up, I'm going to set a boundary. I'm going to really set a boundary. I'm going to ask for what I need to honor the person I am. And what I know is that that person does not have a part. You don't have a part. So what it allows us to do is, so from a play perspective, Naishat, you can introduce Maitri or the friendship by asking someone, would you like to put an expiry date on this story? Right? Or I might ask someone, how would you like to honor the part the story has played in your life to bring you here? How would you like us to honor this and let it be? Because I really do not believe we let go anything very easily. So we can let it be. Or I might ask someone, so let's play. Suppose you are a director in a movie and you want to move this movie forward. How might you write the next scene? How might you change the script here? How might you change the ending? What does that do when you change the ending? Or I might say, who's another character in this movie? Let's look at that character. Is that character an accomplice? Or is that character a supporter? How do you want to, what role do you want that character to play? Because one of the things we do very poorly as human beings, as much as connected we claim we are unable to ask for help the way we need to be helped.
Yeah.
So most of us are hardwired to give help, and we will give help, but the pause comes in asking, what does help look like for you? Not what I think it looks like for you. And that's the friendship. That's where, or even to really imagine, suppose you're really sitting somewhere and you're perseverating on something, and a best friend comes and taps your shoulder and says something to you. What are you hearing that friend say to you? And it brings tears to people's eyes, because to really touch that friendship in such an intimate manner is a vulnerable thing to do. Because you're supposed to get up at 6 in the morning and do whatever you're supposed to be doing. So if we can pay attention to all the supposed to and the shoulds in our language, we're giving a pause for friendship. We're giving a pause to gentle. We're giving a pause for wholeheartedness. I truly don't believe there is a best version. That's my personal opinion. I believe there is a wholehearted version, including our vulnerability, the way we engage with failure, the way we engage with life. That's who we are. And that's what the universe is asking us to do our best, that part of our best, to show the wholehearted version of ourselves. And the friendship allows us to do that, really. So that's how I work with the Maitri concept within coaching.
I imagine people would have a lot of difficulty recognizing the gremlin in the room in themselves. I imagine
yes and no.
Yes and no. Yeah.
I think when you take people there, so I do a workshop exclusively on Maitri, where I walk people through the gremlin, the self-care, and that whole thing. And I'm amazed at how vulnerable the courage, so where vulnerability is there, courage is automatically there. So that's where we invoke the sage power. We invoke the inner wisdom that each one of us has, and we connect it to the inner wisdom of somebody else that we trust. So work around gremlin cannot happen unless we have created psychological safety for somebody. So you cannot do this in a random interview. It's you build up to that, right? You have a coaching relationship. It's a trusting relationship. So you bring that concept nudge by nudge, really. and you ask permission. You always ask permission. Would you like to try this? I have an idea. Would you go along with it? Would you give it a try? And we will stop anytime it makes you uncomfortable. That's the permission we need to give each other, to call out unproductive behavior as easily as we give kudos. It's very easy for me to say, hey guys, you're doing such an amazing job. But what if I didn't like something in your lineup? I must have the courage to come up and say to you, here is what I believe. This is how I'm experiencing what your guest said or what the topic meant, and I'm uncomfortable. Can we talk? That is giving unconditional friendship to yourself, when you are able to ask, honor, and respectfully engage in dialogue versus, I want this, you should do this, I can't believe you did that. I mean, that's half the problem today, right? There is so much divisiveness that we are missing the connectedness underneath all that. And that I think each one of us is trying to bring back humanity into conversations, and play allows us to do that.
I think I don't know who I was. I think there's Pico Ayers talk about what ping pong taught him about Japanese culture or something. I forgot the name of that, but he says that Japanese have developed a culture where they are very competitive, but but they are not worried about who wins and who loses, but they are very
Yeah.
competitive. So it's a paradox. He said that that people they are extremely, when it comes to sports and everything, they are very competitive, but they're not playing for that. I found it so paradoxical, and then he explains the
Right.
background of it, and I think I agree with you. Play allows, and I see, my kids play cricket and the football and everything else, and so I can see that at certain age they just go there to have fun. They are playing
Right.
hard when they are on the ground. They are playing hard. They are giving their best shot at it. After a while, yeah, who cares who won, who lost it? But I think play allows. I completely agree that it's. I remember when in occupational rehab work that I did, I was the only one who would do a Richard Nodell's card assessment. If you remember,
Yeah. Yeah.
values and skills.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I open that up and give people to put all those things, suddenly their mood changes, shifts, because they are no longer focused on their pain. They are no longer focused on just looking at what consumes them. They get, wow,
Right.
this is another way for me to look at
Yeah.
what I'm dealing with. And I think that in my view is a very profound way and gentle way. We are not, it's a non-confrontational way. We are not saying, what, let's get this done, 1 hour, let's put all these cards in that and let's figure that out. And I always say, I don't even know what you are going to pick. I don't even have any idea. I'm just
Yeah.
going to be with you, play with you, and see what happens. If it did work out, did work out. Who cares about
Yeah.
it, right? But
So,
let's really do that.
so I'll offer you two resources. Given what you were talking about, Pico Iyer, Simon Sinek is right now making rounds with his book called The Infinite Mindset. But the theory behind the infinite mindset comes from Dr. Kars's work, where he talks about playing a finite game and playing an infinite game. So in playing a finite game, you're playing with known rules, you're playing with known players, you have a winner, you have a loser, you have a referee. When you play the infinite game, you are playing to continue the play. And that is going to be the distinctive feature in today's world and economy. So we are going to be playing with unknown people, unknown factors, unknown variables. So the question to ask in play, and I did a workshop on the world opens up and how are we going to enter. So my question was, and people doodled around it. They were not allowed to use words, so they had to draw. The question was, if you were continuing the play, what do you see? So that is another way to introduce that concept in an economy that seems so restless and shifting, in an economy where jobs are probably going away forever. And if you're looking at it, you're looking at what you have and you're thinking, I have very narrow skill sets, perhaps to ask yourself, what does continuing the play look like?
Mm.
And play with that. That would be having that infinite mindset and shifts the concept very easily. So I'm glad you brought that up. The other resource I would say is, if you Google, you'll find this exercise. It's called the Wheel of Life exercise. It's a great exercise to get down to purpose, because when you connect the dots, you will see where the wheel is broken. And then all you have to ask yourself, where can I make the smallest shift for the most exponential gain? And what is my commitment? So this goes to, one of your listeners, Imtiaz Ali, I think, asked the question about analysis paralysis in David's conversation. So the thing with that part is, so if you took that part, all you have to think about is, what is one tiny thing that you're comfortable to commit to, and you do it every single day for the week. You will find yourself shift from paralysis. Maybe you'll delete the P in the paralysis. You may not be completely ready, but you will nudge away. You will eat away. So that's what play, I think, does for us. It introduces gentleness, a lot of joy, no expectations, allows you to stay unattached, and allows you to feel really confident. It makes you remember your childhood. So I might ask someone, what's your favorite childhood toy? So I have CFOs who play with Legos in their office before they go into a meeting. I have people who will put like exclamation mark right here in between their index finger to remind them of their purpose when they feel a trigger come on. So this play does not have to be buying some Nintendo or whatever else there is out there. Play is in your mind. Play is in the curiosity. Play is in touching that resiliency. And that's what I find fascinating. So when you offer play to people, rarely do people say, I will not play. And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
In a day, go ahead.
Say, so a lot of what you're talking about, I reckon you could apply to the job hunt. Like we make a job hunt a very rigid process, but just imagine if you took away getting your resume done and just introduce that play aspect and that curiosity, or going out and meeting people and just, what if I could do what you did? Or do you know, like that questioning technique, you could make it an amazing enriching kind of experience for people, instead of this rigidity that sits in it. That's what was occurring for me when you're talking about what you do.
Yes. Yeah.
You could introduce that into all sorts of concepts where you want to have some sort of personal growth.
Yes, because, in the end, if you think about a job search or life itself, it is unfolding one conversation at a time. We either fail or succeed one conversation at a time. It is also about creating human moments. Everything put aside, you get hired in the end because of likability in some fashion. And that connection you've made because you have connected to someone else's purpose. Whether you know it or not. And that's why if you can approach it with less rigidity, preparation is always key. I'm never denying that preparation is not needed. All I am saying is center your preparation with play. Center your preparation with creativity. So you can go into an interview, instead of taking your resume, you can take your quadrant. You can take your quadrant purpose that speaks to the values, interests, skills, and personality. And any question they ask you, you can answer using that quadrant. Suppose they ask you, why do you want this job? Hey, here's how I fit in your culture. Here is what I value. When I looked at the job description, here is what struck my skills. So you don't have to get worried. People get so worried about interviewing, get so worried about saying the wrong thing.
Mm.
But if you can go centered with resiliency, curiosity, and resolve, then every question becomes easy to answer. You just
Mm.
settle into your body, and you have that complete connection between your head, your heart, and your body. And when that happens, so it's like a client once told me, he said what play helps him do is to settle the butterflies so that then they can fly out in formation,
Mm.
color, pattern, and ideas. I,
Mm.
I thought, well, I could not have said it any better, right? I mean, and secretly I thought, oh, that's so brilliant. I did great work, but really it was not me. I mean, it was the client doing the work, but I felt good to sit in his confidence, to
Yeah.
share in his confidence. And that's what we are in this earth to do, to build confidence with and for each other,
Mm.
to give and receive grace from each other,
Mm.
to continue to stay kind when it is difficult to stay kind.
Mm.
That's the challenge of our humanity today. And I think if we can touch play, we touch humanity.
That's such a great note to really wrap this up. Sunitha, you made this absolutely sensational. I know our LinkedIn
Thank
Live for
you.
some reason, tanked. I don't even know why. But don't worry. Those people who missed it on LinkedIn Live will put it on LinkedIn, or our YouTube channel,
Yeah,
straight away,
yeah,
because I think it's a fascinating conversation. There are a lot of gold nuggets, and also, as I think, I also sometimes do is I take a cricket ball and go out for a walk. I'm not doing
yeah,
anything. I'm just playing with it. I'm just catching it
yeah,
because it just allows me to, because when there is a physical object in my hand, I'm
yeah,
present. I'm not going
yeah,
anywhere. I'm not I'm really present. And not that I think Lego is a fantastic one. I've got heaps of Legos at home. And I think that is what we are really left with. You made this 10 p.m. LinkedIn Live absolutely worth,
Well,
Sunitha, and we will
thank
get you
you.
in again, on a drop of a hat, honestly, because you've got so many things that we can learn from
Yeah.
your experience and the way you're sharing that.
Yeah, I would have loved to do that meditative visualization with the two of you, but I understand, well, we've had a whole hour together, and I'm very grateful. But if you both are ever interested, drop me a line, and I will lead you through that meditative visualization.
That would be fantastic.
I think it's a phenomenal experience to have.
Yeah.
So, the two, I can offer that to you for sure. So, thank you again from the bottom of my heart. And I hope we get to meet in person someday.
Someday
So,
soon. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It's been
All
fantastic.
right.
So you introduced a
Yeah,
completely different dimension to um, our audience as well. It's been fantastic, and thank you for joining us. Really,
yeah.
really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
All right,
Okay.
everyone, we will see you tomorrow, 3 p.m. Melbourne time, doing our weekly round of open. So tomorrow would be a 0 hour, as they say in Parliament. That we will take questions from everyone. If you got questions about job search, resume, or as Caroline would like to say, how to make your cat Instagram superstar. Well, we
Not
Yeah,
can
just me.
tackle any goddamn thing.
yeah.
So stay, have a great night, everyone. And for those who are waking up, like Sunitha, have a great day ahead, and we will
Thank
catch
you.
up with you soon. See
All
you
right.
later,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.